Hey guys, Bear here from TGS with another Assassin's Creed Origins Discovery Tour live stream. Overall, this is number 47. Today we're going to go through the Pyramids Discovery Tour, which is slightly under 2 hours long. Just bear with me here. There it goes. They're all pretty massive. I'm gonna have to squeeze the Romans in whichever day I have, like, at least maybe 15 minutes available. Just jam it into the end of the stream. Today's plan is changed. I do want to say the next few weeks will be chaos probably, and stay that way until maybe closer to the end of April, as I'm preparing the move in real life, and it's all the stuff that comes with it. A lot to do, so I'm going to do my best to still game just as much, but I do want to throw out that stuff like this may happen where the schedule gets, thrown around. I wasn't supposed to be on this time today, but I canceled Dishonored Death of the Outsider yesterday. Still held Assassin's Creed and Outlast 2, so I'm making up that Dishonored today. I'm playing this 1:30 to 3:30. We got 5-minute late start, or 10 minutes, whatever it was, so I'll have to do my best to be efficient here. We'll do this, then we'll do Dishonored Death of the Outsider 4 to 6. From there, I'm gonna take a break, eat some dinner, and I'll come back on 7 to 9, as well as 10:15 to midnight. Currently debating how to go about it. Outlast 2, I'd like halfway through a mission maybe. After 2 hours, quite a long mission too. It had like over 50% of collectibles in the entire game or something like that in one mission out of 6. So that's mostly the reason why, because I have to do a little bit more scavenging than normal by any means. Last time I had to do that was Alan Wake, and I don't plan to replay that game. It was quite a weird game, but I did beat it back in the day. I think I had a 1,000 gamer score. Either way, that's that. I'll update the schedule on the website as well, probably hopefully by end of day tomorrow max. Try and do it sooner, but I do want to give myself some leeway. Also, lastly, I want to say, if you watch this, please like, sub, check out our other content. If you check it out, leave a like and a comment. Go to thegamersociety.com, vote in our poll. That's where the schedule is as well, and you can also donate via PayPal. Finally, join our club on Xbox, the Gamers Society Fan Club. Greatly appreciate all of your support in any way, whether it's a like, a sub. Every single thing helps. Once we hit 750 subs, we'll hold a Minecraft tournament open to 4 of our long-term subs, because that's all we can hold in Minecraft between me, Schmag, the co-commentator of TGS, and the remaining 4 spots. So that'll be the plan. But we will be holding a Roblox tournament once I release the game that I mentioned a few times that I'm making. I should know what the deal is soon, and hopefully in the next few weeks it'll finally get released. Maybe we'll do alpha and beta testing live with subs, because we're going to have to sniff out issues anyway, so might as well possibly consider live streaming it to build up some anticipation and whatnot. I think that's all there is to say. I think we just need to get started at this point. Which means first things first. I'm gonna be whoever this is, Egyptian woman. And so you see, we did all of Egypt, every single one. There's no achievements for completing them all. I'm just doing them all to learn and show what they offer. Pyramids will take a stream. I think Alexandria might take a stream. This one had like some section that was like 20 minutes long in itself. The Siege of Alexandria with 22 stations, with the rest 2, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 7 minutes, 2 minutes. We have daily life, which has a lot as well. There's 20 different things to tour here. It's absolutely insane. And finally, we have the Romans, which is like the mop-up, because it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 minutes long. So I mean, we're gonna have to just jam it in one of the days that I do this. Tomorrow's gonna be a tight time day as well. I can't guarantee anything tomorrow. I'm hoping to start at 4 p.m. and do 4 to 6, 7 to 9, 9:30 to 11:30. That's the goal. I've also been craving to do some Minecraft. We made some major progress on the city we were building, and it's just built my wanting to play it like a ton, because it actually finally is getting exciting. It's starting to look amazing. think I'm gonna go ahead and start streaming Minecraft 2 times a week next week since we have some free spots. Also be doing Crazy Taxi and Going Home for 1,000 gamer score each. And that's that. Let's go ahead and get this started. So, TGS presents Assassin's Creed Origins Discovery Tour. We are going to go through the 16 pyramid options. They each have a bunch of stations. You know, some of these are quite short, some of them are longer, like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 13. So we're going to hop and go straight down the list and basically fast travel to each area and walk through them, actually listening to what they have to say and looking at the pictures. And that will be that. Hope you guys enjoy. Time to learn some history about ancient Egypt.
Welcome to The Origin of the Pyramid. The origin of the word pyramid is controversial. Most believe that it originates with the Greek word pyramis, which referred to a bread of conical shape. Life and death in ancient Egypt were modeled on the cycle of the sun. The perfect shape of the smooth-faced pyramid became associated with the metaphor of the pharaoh transformed into one of the sun's rays in death. Pyramids represented the Benben, the primordial mound of the Heliopolitan creation myth. These stories permeated every aspect of Egyptian life to a greater or lesser extent.
So here's a picture by Jean-Claude. Literally how they said it in the video last time I watched this, when they talked about him. I'm just doing my best to match it. I think it's Heliopolis, she said. Heliopolis, not sure. But, interesting looking place.
During the pre-dynastic period, the development of funerary practices was different, depending on whether one was located in Lower Egypt or Upper Egypt. Well before the pyramid, there was the burial pits. It is on the site of Merimde Beni Salame in Lower Egypt that we find the oldest funerary site, dating back to 5000 BCE. Study of the tombs revealed that the bodies of the deceased were deposited in a shallow grave, in a fetal position. Though a few objects were recovered from these graves, they offered no insight as to the social class of those interred within.
So here's a mummified body.
In Upper Egypt, pre-dynastic practices are easier to study, but reveal more complex funerary rites. They are divided into two cultural phases, Badarian and Nagada. The Badarian phase ranged from 4400 BCE to 3800 BCE. Small necropolises were discovered on the outskirts of villages, revealing the emergence of a funerary cult. The bodies of the deceased were lowered into an oval grave and covered with goat or gazelle skins. Items needed in everyday life were added alongside the body.
So here's a reconstruction of a man's tomb. I'm pretty sure that's a real mummy. It's absolutely crazy looking. Then you have all the pottery and whatnot.
During the three Nagada periods ranging from 4000 BCE to 3510 BCE, funerary practices evolved in complexity. The shape of tombs changed from oval to rectangular, mimicking the homes of the living. The size of the burials increased and funerary items became more stylized and numerous. Tombs gained complexity with masonry, wooden veneers, or raw bricks added to strengthen the structures. In time, socially stratified necropolises emerged. For example, in Hyrcanopolis, the elite and commoners had separate necropolises. During the three Nagata periods ranging from 4000 BCE
Sorry about that, just making sure.
510 BCE, the term mastaba, meaning massive bench in dialectal Arabic, refers to a form of funerary architecture that was present in Egypt from the Archaic period to the Middle Kingdom. An evolution of the burial pit, mastabas were generally composed of two parts. A structure was built above the ground in the form of a massive rectangle with stepped walls, and a subterranean burial chamber was located underneath. Smaller mastabas often surrounded the much larger tomb of the king. These generally held the remains of the king's relatives and courtiers.
So, there's that. The mastaba in Gizeh.
The arrangement of the substructure of the mastaba evolved during the course of the Old Kingdom. From the 5th dynasty onwards, mastabas often featured multi-roomed substructures, with sometimes up to 30 rooms. Also, the quantity and quality of decorated surfaces increased noticeably, as well as the number of statues found within.
Here is a model of the mastaba tomb of Perneb. Pretty cool.
The 6th dynasty would see art used to its utmost. The entire surface of a mastaba would be covered in scenes of daily life, illustrating the prosperity of those lucky enough to comfortably spend eternity near the pyramid of a pharaoh. The best example of this type of mastaba is the tomb of Mereruka in Saqqara.
So, here you have it. Apparently it's the west wall of the chapel of Kamsenu, with niches for Uretnub, Kamsenu, and Rejepta, 5th dynasty. Tour complete. Pretty interesting tour. Next is 13-minute one, the Step Pyramid Complex of Djoser. It's fast travel. Heading to Saqqara Nome.
Welcome to the Step Pyramid Complex of Djoser. The Step Pyramid is at the center of an enclosed complex, comprised of temples, models of palaces, and artificial constructions, all built for the afterlife of Pharaoh Djoser. The funeral complex itself covers 15 hectares and is located on the highest point of the Saqqara Plateau. It's clear from the elaborate detail and scale of the complex that this was a technological marvel of its time. The only fragment of information regarding the design plans of the complex was discovered on a section of stone containing an architectural sketch of a vault.
So here's Saqqara North.
The Step Pyramid is the first monument built of stone. Standing at 60 meters high, it was the tallest of its time. Built 4,700 years ago, it was originally intended as a mastaba, which was a flat-roofed rectangular tomb. Its famous architect, Imhotep, may have felt this was too humble for the great pharaoh Djoser and began to add the steps.
So here's the model again that we saw previously.
The Step Pyramid complex is enclosed within a 1,600-meter-long wall that is 10 meters high. This large wall was made out of white limestone and oriented along the north-south axis.
So here's Djeser and Unas, 2016, by Jean. He's really put together a lot of pretty detailed drawings here.
While there are 14 doors, only its eastern door was intended to accommodate the living. The remaining false doors were built as portals for the king's Ka to pass through. Along with false doorways, the walls were designed with bastions and steeples resembling a defensive wall. The positioning of these design elements suggest that they were related to the Hebsed festival.
So here's another picture of the pyramid.
The only real entrance into the complex is at the end of a long, narrow passageway. This enclosure has a stone canopy carved to resemble wooden logs. At the end of the passage is a large opening. Meant to resemble a doorway, it has carved doors and hinges that are permanently open and immovable.
So here is the coffin of Ameni, 12th dynasty.
The corridor is lined with 20 pairs of columns up to 6 meters high, built by stacking stone drums. The completed facade was made to resemble reed stock bundles. Traces of red paint were found on the columns, along with black paint on the support walls. This would have had the effect of blending the walls into the shadows to give the red columns the illusion of standing on their own.
So here is the stela representing interlocking doors from the late period.
Chambers are located on either side of the columns and are thought to be chapels representing the provinces of Upper and Lower Egypt. According to some Egyptologists, the arrangement of the rooms may be symbolic of jurisdiction and judgment.
So here's the perfume vase we saw in one of the previous tours.
Guarded by a line of carved snakes, this tomb is located at the southern end of the courtyard. The burial chamber is beneath it, down a 30-meter deep shaft. The low-ceilinged chamber resembles a mastaba and is relatively intact compared to the later burial chamber. The tomb is made of pink granite, though there is evidence it was once polished limestone. Too small for a body, it is possible that the tomb was intended for the king's Ka, or to hold the canopic jars containing the king's organs. Later traditions in burials would have the canopic jars in the same chamber as the body,
So here's the amulets to Ure.
A polished limestone staircase leads west from the tomb to underground apartments. Some of these rooms were intended to accommodate the king and his family in the afterlife. Many large jars of pottery were found, including some that still had deposits of beer, milk, and oil inside them. The false doorways are decorated with reliefs of the king taking part in rituals. In these reliefs, he is seen carrying agricultural tools, running, and performing a ritual for the reanimation of the deceased.
So here's wall tiles from the funerary apartments of King Djoser, South Tomb.
The architect Imhotep chose stone as a building material in order for the complex to last. Following the completion of the initial mastaba, Imhotep devised a burial of more ambitious dimensions. He set about stacking mastabas on top of each other. Evidence shows that the pyramid was enlarged twice by additional cuts into the steps, eventually reaching 62 meters in height and 121 meters by 109 meters at its base.
Here's a statuette of Imhotep, late period Ptolemaic era.
A staircase allowing the pharaoh to enter the divine world was represented by a tiered pyramid, oblong in shape, completely enveloping the original mastaba. The pyramid itself is a solid structure. All of the chambers and tunnels are beneath the structure.
Here is a Saqqara picture view of the step pyramid, 1849-1856.
Pharaoh Djoser the Sacred was the founder of the Third Dynasty. He ruled for 19 years. During his reign, he was known as Horus Negerikat, divine of the body. He was given the name Djoser several centuries after his death as a sign of respect, and he is regarded as one of the greatest pharaohs of Egypt. An apocrypha was drafted in his name during the Ptolemaic period, 2,500 years after his death.
So, pretty interesting painted limestone statue of the pharaoh, known as King Djoser.
Djoser was associated with the sky god Horus in his human form. A plinth near the step pyramid is inscribed with his name and associated with Horus. He was the first to reside in Memphis, making it the central hub of government for the region. Djoser was known to have built many temples and monuments before the complex at Saqqara. The funerary complex was the first of its kind and would mark Djoser's greatest architectural achievement.
So here's a picture of Memphis.
The funerary complex was built to resemble Djoser's palace, with the stone carved to imitate mud brick, trees, and reeds. Creating these details and softer textures in hard stone would have been a time-consuming, labor-intensive task. Much of the complex is designed to accommodate the Hebsed festival, allowing the king the ability to affirm his rule even in the afterlife.
So here is the pyramid, Saqqara pyramid number 32, in Denkmäler aus Ägypten und Ethiopian. Hopefully that made some sense.
In the corner is a temple referred to as T. This temple is among the most mysterious structures in the complex. Its outer facade is plain, while inside it is decorated with intricate jed pillars and carvings. It's possible that this place was intended to be where the Ka of the king materialized, symbolically visiting the platform of the Hebsed courtyard from the afterlife.
So here's a picture of it.
The Hebsed festival enabled the pharaoh to maintain universal order and renew godly powers. Through a series of trials and religious rites, such as dance, offerings, and visiting the sanctuaries of various deities, the ruler's vital force and divine nature was confirmed. The celebration was meant to represent the ruler's jubilee and would take place every 30 years, though the deadline was not always followed. The earliest known ritual dates from the First Dynasty.
Oops, forgot to show you guys the picture. We don't care about the listening. Here it is, scenes from King's 30-year Jubilee.
And renew godly powers. Through a series of trials and religious rites, such as dance, offerings. Within the complex of Djoser, southeast of the pyramid, is a dedicated space for this essential ritual to be performed by the king even in the afterlife. The Hebsed courtyard is lined with false chapels and equipped with a platform featuring 2 staircases meant to represent Upper and Lower Egypt.
There's a staircase in Hebsed Courtyard, 2012, by Ubisoft. That's obviously artwork, not real. But you get to see it. It's a pretty interesting place. All these false doors.
Located in the courtyard, the 2 pavilions are believed to represent the palaces of Upper and Lower Egypt. Rectangular in shape, the 2 replica structures face one another. Their facade is similar to the chapels of the Hebsed ceremony, with column crowns carved to look like falling leaves. Because Queen Hetep-Hernepti and Princess Inetkas's names were discovered on a stela near the pavilions, it is thought that these funerary chapels were intended for them.
Here's a picture from this view, slightly different than the game, as always.
The funerary temple is on the north side of the complex, facing the stars where the deceased ruler was believed to travel after death. Within this temple was the pharaoh's serdab, or cellar. It is a small, enclosed space with one wall sloped to match the first step of the pyramid.
Seems like we heading over to this hole, I guess, for the end.
The north wall has 2 observation holes. A statue of Djoser is seated on the throne, wearing a mantle and a tripartite wig with a crown known as a Nemes. Representing the king's Ka, this statue looks through the observation holes into the courtyard, enabling the king to observe the ceremonies and receive offerings in the afterlife.
Tour complete. Quite interesting. I never knew that was actually in there. Showing you guys. He's just chilling in this wall. Take a picture of it. It's pretty cool. Alright, so I do need like a 5-minute break. I don't want to disappoint, and I need to continue on to keep this going because we still have a lot to go. But I have to return a phone call. So it shouldn't take me long, and then we'll get right into this. I'm gonna fast travel there while I'm on the phone.
So many tours, so little time.
Hello, hello, I'm back, guys. Sorry about that. Took a little bit long. Alright guys, sorry about that pause. I'm really sorry about that. I need to get started here. So we're gonna hop right into this, which is inside Djoser's step pyramid. This should be quite interesting, 6 minutes long.
Welcome to Inside Djoser's Step Pyramid. The architect of the Step Pyramid, Imhotep, was a man of great importance to Pharaoh Djoser and ancient Egyptians in general. The base of a statue of Djoser, discovered in 1926, celebrates Imhotep as a carpenter, sculptor, stonemaker, and chief of the seers. Little is known of Imhotep's day-to-day life. While he is credited for writing medical texts, it is for his role of architect that he is most famously known.
So there's a statue we've seen quite a few times. It's dark down here. We have a... There we go. Don't play with fire, little girl.
From the design of the pyramid to the elements within the complex itself, Imhotep set out to create something that would immortalize his king. An architectural achievement, the step pyramid was made from stone blocks instead of mud brick. It was the first time Egyptians built a monument of that height. Imhotep explicitly intended for the stone to reflect natural materials. The funerary complex of Djoser remained famous throughout the centuries and millennia, and its great architect, Imhotep, was deified by ancient Egyptians during the late period.
So the step here in Ubisoft art.
In addition to the central subterranean palace built for Djoser, 11 wells were dug. Each went to a depth of 33 meters and connected with a horizontal gallery extending for about 20 meters. The first 5 galleries were intended for members of the royal family.
So pretty interesting. Did not mean to go back there.
Two passages lead underground and branch off in 3 directions to various magazine galleries. This vast underground space accommodated sections for storage and ceremonial offerings. One of the tunnels, starting on the east side of the pyramid, contained 40,000 stone vessels, many of them belonging to the king's ancestors.
Here is square of the pyramid. So I'm guessing that's the pyramid and that's the path system inside of it. Quite interesting. You're going the wrong way here. Sorry about that. Get lost in here. We're on to this one, right? Yeah, it's checked off.
The burial chamber of Djoser is located at the bottom of a 28-meter deep central shaft. According to Egyptologist Jean-Philippe Laure, the chamber was originally made from polished blocks of limestone, while its ceiling was decorated in 5-pointed stars. At some point, however, the limestone blocks were replaced entirely by pink granite blocks, leaving behind only fragments of limestone blocks decorated with stars.
So, interesting structure right there. Pyramids of Saqqara.
At the foot of the chamber are many tunnels going in all directions. This maze of tunnels, galleries, and chambers stretches over 5 kilometers. There are a number of dead ends and false doors. They may have been intended for the afterlife, rather than to fool thieves.
The Pyramids of Saqqara vertical section looking west. You can just see there's tons of branches of tunnels going all over the place. Large apartment in the middle. Pretty crazy.
Unlike the Great Pyramid of Giza or Menkaure, the Pyramid of Djoser does not have any extra openings dug out by thieves. There was no need for them. Because of the easy access into the tunnels and along the corridors, thieves had little trouble clearing out the temples once inside. It is unknown when the mummy of Djoser was stolen. All that remained was a left foot, found by French Egyptologist Jean-Philippe Lauer in 1934. This architect, who devoted his whole life to meticulously exploring the complex, believed it belonged to Djoser.
There he is. He has like his pen there or something. Enjoying that bright sun. Need some sunglasses.
The Pharaoh's apartments, also known as the Blue Chambers, are decorated with blue-green tiles meant to imitate the reed matting that covered the walls and windows of his palace. The stone is carefully curved and painted to look like the rolled mats of open doorways and curtains.
So here they are, incrustations, architectural elements, plaque.
There are two long rooms running side by side along a north-south axis. The south room has false doors separated by stone panels, while the north room is a corridor which allows access to side chambers. Nearby chambers originally housed the pharaoh's treasures. The door frames are made of fine limestone and carved with the king's name. As in the south tomb, reliefs are carved into the doorways. These reliefs show the king performing rituals and visiting divine sanctuaries for all eternity. Their interiors are fictive additions made by the team to add to the wonders of the tomb. It is clear from the elaborate detail and scale of the complex that this funerary monument was a technological marvel of its time.
Here, Pyramids of Saqqara section of apartments. Pretty sure this is the door design. Has all the figures around the side, then it has some stuff in the middle. Front view wall. And there you go, tour completed. Are ready to change it up and go to the next tour. Bishadia. We're gonna go to Sneferu's first pyramid, Saqqara.
Welcome to Sneferu's first pyramid. With the long reign of Sneferu, the first king of the 4th dynasty, the most brilliant and creative period began for the construction of funerary monuments in Egypt. Funerary monument design moved from the step pyramid to the smooth-faced pyramid, testament to the evolution of the practices of construction. The first attempt at this design was the Pyramid of Meidum.
Oops, interact. Sorry, I gotta listen to me. Scenes from a King's 30-year Jubilee. We already seen this.
The most brilliant and creative period began for the construction of funerary monuments. While Sneferu's monument started as a 7-stepped pyramid, It was later altered into an 8-stepped structure. The final phase of construction saw the steps filled out and an outer casing applied to achieve a smooth surface.
So here's an image of the pyramid.
The smooth dressing of the walls did not provide sufficient bonding, however, and the outer casing did not rest on sound foundations. As a result, the bases of the 4 outer buttress walls gave way, causing the walls to slide down and collapse. While the Meidum Pyramid was abandoned due to design flaws, it showcased other innovations that would impact all future pyramid designs.
So, Egyptian breakfast service of Napoleon I, also known as breakfast service of the Emperor. Look at that. That's quite a fine piece right there. It's pretty cool, actually. It's probably priceless.
As well as the smooth sides, it was the first time a ceremonial pavement was built, leading from the valley to the temple of the pyramid. Another innovation was that of the funerary chamber, which was no longer at the bottom of a well, but rather above ground level. This change signaled the beginning of the 3-bedroom system.
So here it is. You have the pyramid, the wall, the causeway, the approach. And tour completed. Now we're going to do the bent pyramid of Dashur. I think we're on like the 5th one at this point out of 16.
Welcome to the bent pyramid of... After the construction of the Meidum Pyramid failed, Sneferu transferred his residence and the official necropolis to Dashur. There he began construction on his 2nd attempt at a funerary monument. The resulting structure, known as the bent pyramid, is the only one of its shape in Egypt.
So here it is, Pyramids of Saqqara, 1809-1822. It is bent, has a normal angle, and then it bends and gets steeper.
Though the pyramid also proved unstable and was abandoned, it marked a technical and architectural breakthrough. Heralding an important design transition, the bent pyramid displays a shift from the step pyramid to a functional smooth-sided pyramid.
So here's the step pyramid. Yeah, you can see it's blatantly smoother. And I was wrong, it's not as steep up top. It's more slanted.
The bent pyramid was unique in having 2 separate entrances, one on the northern face and another on the western face. The chamber of this pyramid was too small for a human burial. It was probably meant for the burial of a statue designated to house the Ka, the vital spirit of the deceased king.
The southern and small stone pyramids of Dashur. The view plan sections, hieroglyphs.
With the bent pyramid, architects successfully experimented with a completely new idea: to build the pyramid with a core of huge stones settled on a progressive horizontal design. This way, each construction phase could be completed in a single stage, allowing the architect complete control over every design element. Unfortunately, these precautions did not prevent sagging or cracks in the interior rooms of the pyramid. Sneferu abandoned the monument and began the construction of yet another pyramid.
Jeez, dude, how much material are you wasting? Yeah, sure, look at it. It is enormous right in this picture. Just as it is right here upon us. And there's your tour of the bent pyramid of Dashur. Now we have the red pyramid of Dashur.
Welcome to the Red Pyramid of Dashur. The Red Pyramid was built 2 kilometers to the north of the Bent Pyramid. It was so named due to the reddish limestone used in its construction. The Red Pyramid reached a height of 105 meters. While the ground level of the Red Pyramid is lower than that of the Bent Pyramid, its height is virtually the same. The task of making the pyramid a geometrical, true flat-face pyramid brought about yet another new design concept: the use of casing blocks.
Pyramids and cemeteries of Dashur. You can see right here. So I believe on the left is the slanted one, and on the one on the right is the one we're at. I may be wrong.
The descending corridor of the pyramid, which opens to the north, arrives at ground level, where 2 almost identical spectacular chambers with high ceilings are aligned north to south and connected by a short horizontal passage. In the south wall of the second chamber, accessed by a staircase, another corridor leads to the final chamber, which is built within the masonry of the pyramid itself and aligned east to west.
So here's the northern stone pyramid of Dashur.
The annexes of the Red Pyramid consist of a small funerary temple located to the east. A causeway presumably ran due east from the temple, but it has yet to be excavated.
Nothing else to offer except text, so I just move it on.
The Red Pyramid was structurally sound, and once finished, marked a remarkable design milestone. Finally successful in his attempts to build himself a suitable funerary monument, Sneferu knew his future beyond death was assured.
Three times the charm. Completed. That is one hell of a lesson, though, to never give up, because, you know, not like he did little things. He built these big ass pyramids and he finally got what he wanted. Pretty wild. So now we got pyramids of the Middle Kingdom. Well, first let's take Caesar on a tour of the Middle Kingdom pyramids.
Welcome to Pyramids of the Middle Kingdom. During the Middle Kingdom era, the powerful rulers of the 12th dynasty resumed the tradition of elaborate pyramidal tombs. For example, Amenemhat I built a funerary complex in Lisht, and Senusret II selected the Elahun site in the Fayum. Amenemhat II and Sesostris III, however, cast their favor towards Dashur. Amenemhat III built a pyramid there as well before moving to Hawara in the Fayum.
Pyramids of Ilahun, Hawara, Blamu, and El Kufa. Overall plans.
The plundering of tombs in troubled times prompted the architects of the Middle Kingdom to devise increasingly complicated means of security during construction. As such, while the architectural plans of the Hawara pyramid were simpler than the one at Dashur, the means used to protect it from looters were much more elaborate. Beyond the use of blind passages and concealed trapdoors, the architects relied on a system of stone slabs, which were slid into place at the end of construction. These massive stone slabs were meant to permanently block the passageways leading to the funerary chambers.
So they blocked it off.
The kings of the 13th dynasty began building their pyramids at Masguna, south of Dashur, then moved on to Fayum and Abydos. The kings of the 17th dynasty, however, satisfied themselves with crowning their cave tombs with small pyramids of raw brick. The kings of the 18th dynasty gave up the shape of the pyramid as a royal tomb entirely. They chose a mountain with a pyramidal shape in the Valley of Kings and dug their graves there.
Interesting. The Valley of the Kings. We were just there. In the Curse of the Pharaohs DLC.
It was not until the Nubian pharaohs of the 25th dynasty that kings were once again buried under pyramidal tombs. In fact, today, the area of ancient Nubia, modern Sudan, contains a record number of 220 known pyramids to Egypt's 138. Despite their slow decline in use and quality, pyramids continued to fascinate all and sundry up to the Roman era. They remain to this day a symbol of the religious dedication of the pharaohs and the grandeur of ancient Egypt.
Here's a picture, archaeological sites of the island of Meroe, Sudan. Just desert, and then you got these pyramids in the background. Those are insane conditions to work in, just out in the desert. So an overview of the Giza necropolis.
Welcome to an overview of the Giza necropolis. The Giza Plateau is located on the west bank of the Nile and was considered by ancient Egyptians as the domain of the dead. The pyramidal complexes found there were built over the span of 3 generations, during the reign of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaura.
Here are the pyramids of Giza.
The Giza area, now famous for its 3 pyramids, is part of a wider grouping of funerary complexes. Rulers from this period generally elected to be buried in the area. The focal point of the entire region was the city of Memphis, chosen as the capital of Egypt at the beginning of the Old Kingdom.
Temple and Sphinx.
The placement of the Giza monuments, and particularly that of the pyramids, followed a practical yet strict alignment. First, they focused on cardinal points, and then they accounted for the natural geology of the plateau.
The topographic plan for a part of the Memphis necropolis. And tour completed. That was relatively short. Let's take this guy on another tour. I'm not trying to change it every single time. The next tour is the Riddles of the Sphinx. This is a long one, 15 minutes long to be exact, or around that. But it's probably going to be one of the most interesting parts of today's touring.
Welcome to the A sphinx was originally meant to be a personification of the king. The human head, wearing pharaonic regalia, was fused with the body of a lion, thus sharing the qualities the powerful animal possessed, namely its power, the swiftness of its attack, and its majestic authority. By these very virtues, it was also considered a symbol of protection. Unsurprisingly, statues of sphinxes could be found along the dromas, protectors of the path taken by the gods to reach the temples.
And here's Karnak, alley with ram-headed sphinxes, first dynasty. Seems like some of them are a little bit damaged, but...
Over the centuries, enthusiasts and historians alike have wondered, who built the Sphinx? For what purpose? And who does it represent? These questions remain unanswered. Several theories do exist, however, some more credible than others. One theory supposes that Jedefre chose to pay homage to his father Khufu by building the Great Sphinx of Giza. The stone temple on the eastern face of the Sphinx would have been added later on by his brother and successor, Khafre, in order to strengthen the divine worship of their father. It would be the first Egyptian temple oriented with the sun.
Here is the picture, Pyramids of Giza, by Jean-Claude.
Another theory suggests that the Sphinx was built by Khafre and was meant to represent him. The arguments to support this hypothesis are based on the fact that the limestone beds used for the main work of the Temple of the Sphinx are geographically and architecturally similar to the Valley Temple of Khafre. Some believe that Khufu himself built the Sphinx, which was later finished under his successors, Jedefre and Khafre. These arguments are based on the stylistics of the engraving, the typology of the nemes, and the absence of a beard at the time of construction.
So here's a royal head, Jedefre.
While ancient Egypt as a whole leaves a rather monochrome vision of its monuments and statuary, it is vital to understand that in ancient times, absolutely everything was painted. The sun, eating away at the pigments of the colors, the sand, the climate, and the implacable impact of time, unfortunately destroyed the glorious colors of the Sphinx of Giza. Documents from an Arab Egyptologist of the 12th century, Abd al-Latif al-Baghdadi, indicate that traces of red were still visible in his time. Today, however, the only color that remains are traces of red close to the ears of the Sphinx, as well as hints of blue and yellow on the nemes, traditional colors for that type of headdress. The pigments for the color red were man-made, obtained by mixing different products such as clay, quartz sand, and very finely crushed hematite.
There is a picture of it, Temple Sphinx.
Red had a strong symbolism in ancient Egypt. It was both the color of life and the color of death. It could represent the sands of the desert or the brilliance of the sun. Red was also associated with the god Seth, vengeful and destructive. The Egyptian word for red, deshur, is also the word which was used to signify the desert, or the royal crown of Lower Egypt. In art, red was also the color used to paint the bodies of men, while yellow was used for women. It is possible that there were also color restoration efforts during the Saite period about 600 years before Cleopatra's rule, as indicated by notes on the inventory stele, discovered in 1858 by Auguste Mariette. It is because of this that the team made the decision to display it with its full range of colors, even though the Sphinx's colors would have likely faded by Cleopatra's time.
A guardian figure wearing the red crown of Lower Egypt, circa 1919-1885 BCE.
Dating from the 4th dynasty, approximately 2600 to 2500 BCE, the Great Sphinx of Giza is the oldest and largest sphinx that we know of. Carved from a natural limestone outcrop, the Sphinx measures 19.8 meters in height, 73.2 meters in length, and 14 meters in width.
Side view of the Sphinx right here. A lot of cracks and damage, but it's still holding up.
In order to bring polish to the imposing monument, several blocks of limestone were added after the initial construction phase. Since then, there have been numerous attempts at preservation. The polish present in the game integrates some aspects of modern restoration attempts. The team made this choice to present a more iconic version of the Sphinx of Giza to the player. Today, the Sphinx is called the Terrifying One. This appellation is translated from its Arabic name, Abu al-Hal, which in turn was derived from Baluba in Coptic.
Here is a real picture of the Sphinx of Khafre with the pyramid of Cheops on the horizon.
The Sphinx as a whole was carved in situ from a natural stone promontory. Its head was built in a limestone peak of the Mukattam Plate, and the body was sculpted in the underlying rock layer where it is located. The degradation of the Sphinx is due in particular to wind erosion and the different quality of limestone used in its construction. The level of sodium contained in the groundwater which abuts the stone is also a contributing factor.
So here it is, the Sphinx, 19th century. I can see where they got that name from. The one they translated.
The natural bedrock is seen through the oblique natural strata of the Sphinx's body that are similar to the surrounding limestone.
Here is another picture from 1909.
Since antiquity, people have always believed there was a hidden tomb deep within the Sphinx. It is thought that attempts to plunder the Sphinx began as far back as the First Intermediate period. Since then, numerous attempts to pierce the Sphinx's secrets have been carried out, leaving indelible scars upon the monument.
In the back, you can see it's L'Encyclopédie, 1762. Not sure I was facing the wrong way there.
12 meters long and cut during pharaonic times, another entrance in the back of the Sphinx aroused curiosity. Although Thutmose IV attempted to seal it off, it was possibly reopened by treasure hunters. It was rediscovered by Howard Vyse and mapped more recently by Mark Lehner. This entrance at the back of the Sphinx leads to different cavities of a few meters each, in directions going inside the statue's body and under the surface. The team has used this opportunity to extrapolate a little more.
I'm only sure that, so if you want to pause and read it again, you can.
While there have been no major discoveries pertaining to the Sphinx of Giza in recent years, theories and hypotheses continue to emerge. Without validation provided by archaeological sources, however, they remain unsubstantiated.
Yeah, I would probably believe it was a tomb of some sort, the way it's designed.
The first of the main theories as to the Sphinx of Giza's meaning posits that the Sphinx was originally a massive representation of the god Anubis. Its principal arguments are that the head of the Sphinx is disproportionate compared to the size of its body. The second theory believes that the representation of two sphinxes on the stela of Thutmose IV would indicate that another stone sphinx had existed on the site itself, possibly even in paired symmetry on the other side of the Nile. However, neither of these theories can be verified in any way.
So here is the recumbent Anubis, circa 664 to 30 BCE.
Several scientific projects using new technologies have been put in place in the past decades. The most important was led by Mark Lehner and his team, who specialize in the study and survey of the Giza Plateau, including the Sphinx site. The mapping made it possible to see the materials used to construct the Sphinx, analyze the different layers of erosion, and figure out the most fragile areas to protect. After a few attempts at giving the Sphinx artistic proportions, the team instead decided to use photogrammetry mapping to faithfully reproduce the proportions of the Sphinx.
Here is a montage of different versions of the Sphinx during development of the game, Ubisoft. Pretty cool to show you their artwork and attempt to design it.
What the Sphinx of Giza represented during its construction and how the Sphinx was perceived by the Egyptians of the New Kingdom are two very different matters. Originally a representation of the king imbued with the power of the lion, the Sphinx was eventually viewed as a direct representation of the Most Divine. It is theorized that kings of the New Kingdom believed that the Sphinx of Giza was the one who recognized and legitimized the ruler of Egypt. Thus, despite the fact the Sphinx of Giza was partially buried under the sand during his reign, Amenhotep II knew that the monument was of great importance.
So, Sphinx of Amenhotep III, possibly from a model of a temple, circa 1390 to 1352 BCE.
Amenhotep II built a second temple dedicated for the Sphinx as Horamakhet to pay homage to Khufu and Khafre, his predecessors. It became a common habit for this dynasty to spend time with their royal courts at the Sphinx. Its sanctuary became known as Setepet, the Chosen.
Scarab inscribed with the throne name of Amenhotep II, featuring a sphinx right at the top there.
Egyptologist Mark Lehner believed that Amenhotep II built a statue of himself anchored between the paws of the Sphinx, likely to legitimize his reign, alongside a stela found by Salim Hassan. Many other pharaohs of this dynasty, such as Tutankhamun and Ramses II, also left marks of their passage in a similar fashion, sometimes even stripping the stones of nearby temples and pyramids to do so. Amenhotep II's son and successor, Thutmose IV, was a frequent offender.
Here it is, Ramses II making an offering of incense and water to the Great Sphinx. Harmachis. A little bit hard to see, but you can see it.
While sleeping between the Sphinx's paws, the future Thutmose IV saw in a dream the god Horamakhet proclaiming his coming accession on the throne of the two lands. This was, of course, on the condition that he remove all of the sand covering the Sphinx, which stood guard as the personification of the god, and should thus never be engulfed by the sands of the desert.
Here is another picture. The Gizeh necropolis of Memphis, Sphinx and Pyramids, 1851-52. Sphinx is really deteriorating there, you can just see it. The pyramids, I mean, they're obviously deteriorating as well.
The 15-ton dream stela built by Thutmose IV to commemorate his dream was discovered by an Italian Egyptologist, Giovanni Battista Caviglia, in 1818, when he undertook the task of freeing the Sphinx from the sand, which had yet again covered it. Caviglia was looking for an entrance into the structure of the Sphinx, but instead he discovered an open-air chapel and stelas between the paws. Ashes from a ceremony were still present. Protected by sand, they quite possibly were from the last ceremonies in Roman times.
So, Pyramids of Gizeh. There it is. It's quite amazing. Especially because this is all written in like stone. It would have taken so long to chisel that in.
That same year, Caviglia discovered fragments of the Sphinx's beard that had probably been added during the New Kingdom. If many of these pieces are held by museums in Cairo, a fragment is displayed at the British Museum, along with a piece of the uraeus that was on the Sphinx's headdress. It is believed this fragment of beard was possibly kept in place thanks to the statue of Amenhotep II, which was supposed to be located under the head of the Sphinx.
Here is the Great Sphinx up close. Get a little bit more view of it. And then sand beat the crap out of these over time.
A popular cultural legend purports that the nose of the Sphinx of Giza was lost during the time of Napoleon Bonaparte to the cannon fire of French soldiers in training. However, engravings from before the time of that campaign already depicted the Sphinx without a nose, indicating that it had been removed before the French campaign.
Damn, so Napoleon didn't ruin it. But he sure enjoyed it. Bonaparte before the Sphinx, circa 1868.
The most plausible hypothesis is based on the research of the German historian Ulrich Harman. During the 1980s, Harman compiled medieval sources written by Arab authors. In doing so, he discovered that the Sphinx was once perceived as a favorable omen, a deity supporting sediment-nurturing floods and crops. Around 1378, a Sufi by the name of Muhammad Sa'im al-Dar could not stand this vision of the monument, and in an iconoclastic act, broke the nose of the Sphinx. According to the texts, he was then hanged and burned between the legs of the Sphinx for his crime.
Damn. Tour completed. The last thing I'm gonna do here is get a picture of the Sphinx. I mean, we can't come here and not get one. Let's actually get the other guy. I haven't really had a great picture of Ptolemy. This is really cool, this whole concept. I'm actually gonna put him right up here and stand him up. Why won't he stand up? I don't think he wants to stand up here. For some reason, I tried. He only crouches. Stand like right here on the edge of the foot. Why does it have all those lights? What the heck? Okay, we can wait till daytime, and then we'll continue on. We have like 30 minutes left in the stream time. I'm hoping we can at least finish the pyramids today, because I do have to keep this trucking along. Just really hoping we can get a good picture of him with the pyramid, but the sun is not agreeing with me here. Where is the sun? Why is it not? Here it is. We need him to be, lit up. Every picture I take with him, he's never lit up, Here we go. We got the moon. There we go. I don't know why the things are on the ground once again, but yeah, nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. We're just gonna deal with it. We're in the Khufu's funerary complex.
Welcome to Khufu's funerary complex. The Valley Temple was the first architectural component encountered when one entered the funerary complex. It was considered the official entrance of the tomb and mixed the structural components of both a temple and a portico. Khufu's Valley Temple shows evidence of a basalt pavement, letting us know where the portico portion of the structure was located. Such a partition is believed to symbolize both the subterranean and solar aspects of the afterlife.
Here is a pyramid drawing during the Old Kingdom. To ride a horse on the tourist, might as well.
Khufu's causeway ran from the floodplain up to the plateau, linking together the Valley Temple and the Mortuary Temple. A traditional causeway presented itself as a paved path, enclosed by walls and often roofed.
So here it is. You can see right there is the connection. Goes across and, you know, maybe, well, it's obviously not raining around here too often, but I was gonna say if it's raining, you know, you don't gotta get poured on.
Fragments discovered by archaeologists indicate that the walls in Khufu's causeway, one of the longest known to us, were decorated with carvings and possibly paint. Depictions show a great variety of themes: stars on the ceiling, accompanied by scenes of battles on the walls. Other engravings depicted the creation of the complex by illustrating craftsmen at work.
Right here is a relief fragment with King Khufu's cattle.
The most impressive private cemeteries of Giza are located east and west of Khufu's pyramid. The eastern cemetery was reserved for members of the royal family, while the western cemetery was mostly set aside for various court dignitaries. In both areas, private tombs, also known as mastabas, were aligned and laid out methodically in streets and avenues. This arrangement was probably an attempt at recreating the king's court for the afterlife.
Oh, there it is. A mastaba.
To the east of Khufu's pyramid reside three smaller constructions, the three Queen's Pyramids. A sloping passage led from the ground surface to a burial chamber, cut out of the bedrock and lined with masonry. If it seems quite certain that these monuments were intended for Queen's burials, the identity of the original occupants is hard to assess.
Another overview.
The northernmost pyramid was most likely meant for Queen Hetepheres, who is believed to have been Khufu's mother. However, in 1925, her actual tomb was discovered nearby by accident. It was hidden at the bottom of a deep masonry pit in an underground chamber. Within the concealed chamber, Egyptologists discovered the most complete royal funerary equipment, dating from the Old Kingdom, though her body was missing.
So here it is. Hetepheres chair, wood and gold leaf, cheese. Gold leaf in the chair. That's crazy. Quite a chair.
Yalla, yalla.
Within the vicinity of Khufu's pyramid, Egyptologists have uncovered 7 boat pits. The exact function of such boat-shaped pits remains unconfirmed, though one can easily conjecture that it was symbolic in nature. The boat pits being located at the eastern side of the pyramid, at the precise spot where the resuscitated king was supposed to reappear, could constitute evidence to support such an assumption.
Here is Khufu's solar boat on display at the Solar Boat Museum. That's crazy that they have the boat.
Yalla, yalla. Halas.
The 2 southern boat pits, each covered by a roof of huge limestone slabs, were discovered in 1954 by Kamal al-Malak, an Egyptian Egyptologist. Only one of them had been opened. 1,224 boat parts made of cedar wood were retrieved one by one and patiently reassembled by the master restorer Ahmed Youssef. This process took 28 years. Youssef worked by following lines of mortise and tenon joints, and by stitching parts together with vegetable ropes, all in order to keep the design as authentic as possible.
So there is the model of the Khufu ship.
The Greek term pyramidion refers to the capstone of a pyramid or the tip of an obelisk. In ancient Egyptian, both components were called benben. This word was also used for a specific kind of food, a cone-shaped offering made of bread. The pyramidion was intended to be a miniature reproduction of the pyramid, making it equal to the monument itself in symbolic importance.
Here is Heliopolis, Heliopolis.
A few pyramidia have been retrieved from pyramidal complexes. The earliest, found in Dashur, is undoubtedly a good example of Old Kingdom's pyramidia. It is made of limestone and has no inscriptions. Some engraved pyramidia were recovered from private funerary chapels. Their inscriptions all related to the solar symbolism of the benben.
So here you have it, the pyramidion of Peyote. Very interesting.
Yalla, yalla. Holla.
The pyramidia of the pyramids of Giza were never recovered. The reconstitution you see in the game is fictive, incorporating a golden pyramidion bearing inscriptions relevant to Khufu.
Here is the Pyramidion of Khufu by Ubisoft. I remember climbing up here. It's really cool. It's just a bright, shining, gold-looking thing up there. A bunch of hieroglyphics on it. Alright, enough of Ptolemy yelling at it. Let's bring Kimu back. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left. We're at the last like 20 minutes. How much time is this? 9 minutes, 13, 23, 30, 36, 41 minutes. Oh man, we're gonna have to figure something out. Let's just plow through these. The secrets of the Great Pyramid.
Welcome to Secrets of the Great Pyramid. Built around 2550 BCE, the Great Pyramid of Giza is considered one of the most iconic structures of Egypt. It is the biggest of the pyramids and the only one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world still standing. The numbers associated to the Great Pyramid of Giza are impressive. A workforce of over 20,000 people, 6 million tons of stone, and 20 years of construction. It was a massive undertaking for a pharaoh's tomb.
Here is a picture of the Pyramid of Cheops. Pretty insane. Towering over you like that.
The construction of the Great Pyramid was also a display of power and opulence on the part of Khufu. It is part of the pharaoh's vast funerary complex, which also includes 2 temples, 3 satellite pyramids, a causeway, and a builder's necropolis. We can guess that the intent behind the construction of these monuments was Khufu's way of declaring himself one of the most powerful pharaohs to rule a unified Egypt.
This is the picture again, showing the same thing we've already seen twice. Let's continue on.
New insights into engineering and ancient Egyptian culture are still being revealed over 4,500 years later. For example, a recently unearthed papyrus offers a glimpse into the life of a tradesman at the time of the pyramid's construction. Also, a logbook belonging to a team leader during the building gives details on the craftsmen, their work schedules, and the raw materials required.
Here's the papyrus telling the daily lives of the port workers who transported huge limestone blocks to Cairo during King Khufu's rule.
It is interesting to note that by Cleopatra's time, the pyramid's celestial purpose, its construction, and the function of its mysterious inner chambers was already unclear. Today, it is only through dedicated research that we have begun to grasp some of the Great Pyramid's mysteries.
Here is a picture of the second solar boat of Pharaoh Khufu, taken in 2005. That is quite old wood.
The Egyptians had polished their design for centuries by the time work on the Great Pyramid began. Intended as a tomb for Khufu, the Great Pyramid's structural design has been considered to be nearly perfect by engineers and historians ever since.
Ivory statuette of Khufu from Abydos, 4th Dynasty.
Precisely oriented north-south to the 4 cardinal points of a compass, the length of each side of the Great Pyramid at its base was 230 meters, and its original height was 147 meters. The pyramid is a mere 0.05% error away from being a perfect square.
Man, that's pretty insane. Especially with those old school tools. Topographic plan for a part of the Memphis necropolis, 19th century.
In order to achieve the shape of a true pyramid, the design required many considerations in the planning phases as well as precision during execution. It was especially critical that they control the angle of inclination on all sides at every stage of construction.
Nothing extra to look at, just the text of what she said.
Materials for the Great Pyramid consisted of quarried limestone blocks, weighing between 2 to 15 tons each. The methods of moving these blocks into place is still debated by architects and Egyptologists. The precision of its design in an age with only soft metal tools, as well as the enormous scale of its construction, make the Great Pyramid one of the most impressive feats of human engineering.
Because the aliens helped us. Did you ever watch Ancient Aliens? Jeez. Stonemason's chisel. From 2051 to 2000 BCE. That is quite long ago. 4,000 years old. I'm only 3,700 years old, so I got some time to go in real life before I get there.
It's estimated that it took between 600,000 and 2 million blocks of stone to build the Great Pyramid. Experts calculate it would have required men to move 12 blocks every hour around the clock for 20 years to place the 2.3 million stones the monument is made of.
Where did you get all these stones in the first place? But here's the quarries. Another drawing by Jean-Claude.
While the interior chambers were built with red granite from Aswan, most of the pyramid was made from local limestone, weighing between 2 to 15 tons per block. There is debate on how the pyramid stones were moved into place, Recent research is exploring the idea that it was built around a large interior ramp.
So here is caddy view of J.P. Houdin's theory with internal ramp and noble circuit. I'm pretty sure those like yellow pathways are where you can go inside. And the ramp is the one that goes around wrapping up to the top. But obviously the ramps aren't visible now. But it's a theory, so you know. Oh my god, Camus.
The recently discovered logbook confirms that the high-quality limestone of the outer casing was brought by boat across the Nile from a quarry in Tura. Once complete, the smooth white polished stone of the Great Pyramid would have reflected the sunlight like a beacon, earning it the name the Horizon of Khufu.
So here's the Viceroy's boat, Tomb of Hui, circa 1353-1327 BCE in Thebes, Egypt. Quite an interesting boat, I have to say.
Over the centuries, thieves and travelers attempted to access the Great Pyramid numerous times. Ancient writings describe details of its interior, proof that some made their way within, though who gained entrance first and when is unknown.
We have a marble bust of Herodotus, a historian in the 5th century BCE. Butchering all these names, doing my best though.
The main entrance of the Great Pyramid is located 17 meters above ground level. It faces north, likely in order to align with the North Star. Though the entrance passageway had been discovered in antiquity, any further access into the Great Pyramid was stopped by massive vertical slabs of rock. As such, present-day visitors to the pyramid must use the robber's entrance.
The robber's entrance is the way we get in now. 3 men sitting at the main entrance of Cheops Pyramid. 1877, that's quite an old photo. And it does look pretty dark in that tunnel.
The robber's entrance is reported to have been opened in the 9th century by Caliph al-Mamun. In search of treasure, the Caliph had his men dig their way inside the Great Pyramid. The most likely scenario is that they enlarged a corridor which had been created by tomb robbers during antiquity. As such, this is how the team can justify access to this wonder.
Here is the Great Pyramid vertical section, forced robber's entrance. There's debris. You see the entrance and it goes down into the pyramid.
Attempts to gain entry to the Great Pyramid and uncover its potential secrets continued throughout the centuries. In the 19th century, the belief that another entry existed at the south side resulted in a hole being blasted into the pyramid side, with no results for the damage that was done. While the search is still ongoing today to uncover more hidden rooms and passageways, conservation is the primary concern of all such efforts.
Here's a picture discovery of the casing stones to the Great Pyramid, 1840. And that's the tour completed. Ready to move on to the next one. Is this it? The next one is called the Great Pyramid Subterranean Chamber. 7 stations, 4 minutes. Is this it? This might be it. Oh, that's the upper chambers. Don't go there, Camus. See, we have the sub, the upper, Jean-Pierre Houdin's theories, Caffrey's funerary complex, and Menkar's funerary complex, and we're done for today. I'm gonna have to postpone Dishonored a little bit to finish this, but we have 4 minutes, 14, 21, 27, 32 minutes left, so I'll be like 20 minutes late, I guess. Oh well. Let's fast travel in. So changed my character. Kemu's not with us anymore anyway, as we learned from Bayek's story early on in Siwa. Just figured I'd take him on a journey. He came back from the afterlife for this. Let's do a random one. I'm just gonna go down, stop. Of course, the line's in between. Let's go for the Greek man. Or no. Let's do the Greek noblewoman. I don't think I ever used her.
Welcome to the Great Pyramid, Subterranean Chamber. From the original entrance of the Great Pyramid, there is a passage leading to the subterranean chamber. Its walls were carved out of the existing rock of the plateau and then covered in a fine, unmarked limestone. The descending passage has a steep 26-degree downward slope. Narrow and with a low ceiling, this pathway is long and challenging.
Maybe you can go down it like a slide. Just sit down, go down. Here's a picture. Put up Chiap's pyramid. There's a slide highlighted, I'm pretty sure, that they're talking about. Pretty steep. We're about to go down it.
While the original passage was 145 meters long, the team reduced its length and made it both wider and higher. The main focus of the work in reproducing the location was centered upon preserving the unique claustrophobic environment of the Great Pyramid, while still allowing for a smooth game navigation. The well shaft was a 58-meter vertical passage that connected the descending corridor to the grand gallery above. An adjacent grotto may have originally been a small natural well in the bedrock that was enlarged during the tunneling. Whether the grotto was intended for another purpose is uncertain.
So here's a picture, same thing, but showing the passage that goes up.
There is much speculation over the purpose of the well shaft. One theory is that the channel was cut or enlarged to supply air to workers in the descending passage. Another is that it was meant to provide an exit route once the work was done in the heart of the pyramid. Without the well shaft, workers would have been trapped inside forever when the grand gallery was sealed. The opening at the bottom of the well shaft was most likely sealed by exiting workers to camouflage the passageway.
So here is Jean de Thevenot, who visited the well shaft in 1662, long ago. It's too cold in here, I need to warm up.
There is a subterranean chamber at the end of the descending corridor, 30 meters below the Giza Plateau surface. Dug directly into the bedrock, the space is wide with a ceiling 3 meters in height. Its floors and walls are rough and uneven, indicating that it was never completed. At the south end of the room, there is another narrow corridor, similar to the others, though it abruptly ends after roughly 20 meters.
Oh, that's where we're at now. We're all the way down in here, in the room.
The chamber also contains an 11-meter pit near the east side. It's unclear what this may have been used for. In the game, this well leads to a fictive underground complex containing key game-related mysteries. The subterranean chamber's original purpose remains a mystery. One popular theory is that it was originally meant to be Khufu's burial chamber, but the pharaoh changed his mind, preferring to be buried higher up in the pyramid, which would explain the chamber's unfinished state.
And there you have it, tour complete. This goes all the way down and we can't go through here. I feel like they put that on purpose. I'm pretty sure in the game though we go back there. It's dark down here. Let's see. Random pick. Roman soldier it is. We have the Great Pyramid of Giza, upper chambers, 10 minutes, 18 stations. So this will be probably the last long one. The rest are 7, 6, 5 right down the dot. Or down the line, I should say.
Welcome to the Great Pyramid of Giza, upper chambers. At the entrance of the ascending passage are 3 granite flagstones estimated to weigh up to 25 tons each. They were used to protect the Great Pyramid from thieves. Undaunted by the granite blocks, the thieves simply dug into the softer limestone around them, thus creating the robber's entrance.
So here is that entrance that he's talking about. Same picture, just zoomed in up here.
While in reality the robber's entrance is one single cavity which leads to both passages. In the game, the team created individual accesses to either passage. As such, in the game, one entrance leads to the ascending passage, while another leads to the descending passage.
The game lied. Continue on.
The ascending passageway of the Great Pyramid provides a direct path into the Grand Gallery and is accessed 30 meters from the entrance along the descending corridor. Both corridors have similar dimensions and are designed with the same 26-degree incline.
So that is where I believe we are right now, heading up. Seems like there's a lot to see up here.
The ascending corridor has smooth masonry on its walls, and the layout includes many trapezoidal stones. Both the floor and ceiling of the passageway indicate that the passage was enlarged, possibly during or after the funeral, to allow workers room to move granite blocks meant to plug the corridor. The Grand Gallery's purpose is still debated among experts. It may have been intended to align with the stars, act as a buffer to protect the king's chamber, or simply to facilitate the transport of the granite blocks used inside the pyramid. Access to the queen's chamber was at the beginning of the Grand Gallery.
So this is what we're looking at. It's pretty cool. It looks pretty dang steep though to be pulling up multiple ton rocks. Just saying. Let's go, little big ass Roman dude. You he's barely getting it. Come on, you got it. One big mofo. Let's go. You can do it. Yay! The Roman did it.
Though this room is referred to as the Queen's Chamber, it is believed that there was no queen buried here. Based on their knowledge of earlier pyramids, Egyptologists believe it was more likely intended as the king's serdab, a chamber meant to contain the Ka statue, which would in turn house the king's spirit.
Statue of the royal Ka of Tutankhamun. I used to butcher it. I used to call him Tutankhamun. Or, I don't even know. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm pretty sure that's the same dude. I was butchering his name though regardless. Like the whole time I played the main game. Wish I knew.
Situated exactly within the pyramid's center, on the east-west axis of the pyramid, the chamber has a vaulted ceiling and measures 5.7 by 5.2 meters. In the eastern wall, there is a niche tucked away in a small corbelled archway, which may have originally held the Ka statue. Behind this niche is another smaller hole, possibly dug out by thieves in search of further treasure.
There's Tutankhamun, at least from what I just listened to. Great Pyramid, Queen's Chamber, lower end of Great Passage. Some interesting plans. No idea what's going on with them, but they're here. Passage. We'll just move on.
In the 19th century, 2 shafts were found running through the north and south walls. They each run in a horizontal line for 2 meters before sloping upward, and both are closed off with limestone blocks fitted with copper handles. Whether they were intended as ventilation shafts for workers or a celestial connection for the pharaoh's spirit is unconfirmed. A recent scan of the room indicated the presence of an unknown cavity hidden behind the north face of the walls over the descending corridor. Further investigation is still ongoing to ascertain the nature of the anomaly, so as to avoid risking damage to the monument. Khufu's architects were possibly influenced by earlier rhomboidal pyramids when designing the gallery. It is the longest corbelled vault ever built, measuring 47 meters long and 8.6 meters high. The walls were made to taper inward, allowing for better distribution of weight. As a result, the ceiling measures just over 1 meter wide at its highest point. Though this construction technique is present in other pyramids, few have the same precision and stability.
As you can see from the picture, Pyramids of Memphis, view of the gallery of the Grand Pyramid, 19th century. It looks a lot thinner. Like, if you're looking at this is like 5 times as wide. The guy looked like he could barely walk on it. Here we have like an entire thing where we can bring a damn cow in.
While the space is visually dramatic, the gallery seemed to serve a practical function, though what exactly remains uncertain. Still, the wall design was undoubtedly meant to contribute to the stability of the structure, and its floor may have helped workers move the materials. A channel runs along the middle of the room. A movable floor originally rested in this central recess. The raised benches on either side are equipped with slots that may have been used to help position the granite blocking stones. At the end of the Grand Gallery is the entrance to the antechamber leading to the King's Chamber. Directly above, there is another narrower horizontal passage that connects to the top of the King's Chamber and allow the workers access to the weight relief rooms.
So here is another picture from the gallery, taken from below and above. Climbing the ladder.
The far end of the Grand Gallery leads to a small antechamber with a portcullis, preventing access to the King's Chamber. The portcullis was composed of 3 separate granite slabs. They were designed to be lowered into place and seal the chamber after the burial of the king. The grooves dug out to hold the slabs in place are still clearly visible to this day. The elaborate locking system was composed of a series of grooves for the ropes and pulleys that dropped the stones into place like the notches on a key.
This is the King's Chamber and Chambers of Construction, 1840. Claustrophobic.
For the purposes of the game, the team elected to remove the portcullis slabs in order to grant the player access to the King's Chamber. In reality, workers would have backed out of the room after the funeral, lowering each slab into place behind them one at a time. Each of the 3 stones were smashed by looters centuries later, and evidence of their break-in is still evident.
And those intruders taking all those stones.
The King's Chamber is built entirely out of red granite. The King's Chamber measures 5.8 meters in height. It has an imposing cover of 5 stacked levels above, with granite beams weighing 25 to 40 tons each. The uppermost level is surmounted by a vault of stones, arranged in chevrons to bear the enormous structural load.
So here's a picture again of where we're at. You see there's the 5 chambers above the King's Chamber right there.
As in the Queen's Chamber, 2 shafts extend out from the room towards the north and south faces of the pyramid. They measure nearly 64 meters until they are blocked by copper-handled granite plugs. Some experts in the culture of the Old Kingdom believe that the shafts were thought to lead the king's soul to the stars, with the incarnation of the pharaoh as the god Ra, represented by the northern well, and the god Horus by the southern well.
So here is this. Shows you what they're talking about.
There is a granite sarcophagus at the west end of the room, but it is the concealed construction inscriptions left by workmen on the roof's stones which verify this as the resting place of Khufu. The sarcophagus was recorded as being empty when it was discovered, and its design indicates that there was once a lid in place. It's possible that this sarcophagus is only a cenotaph in memory of the pharaoh, but was never actually meant to receive the body.
So here it is. Hieroglyphics in Chambers of Construction, 1840.
Khufu's mummy was never found. It is hoped that as of yet undiscovered hidden rooms and shafts of the pyramid may provide an answer as to its location.
Oh, that's a whole different tour. I was wondering what that was. I was like, why is it not part of the path? Blind guess. I don't want to be Camus again. No. No. Oh my god. Yeah, let's just be Layla. Layla. Doo-doo. Alright. Let's go. We're already here, so this is where we're going. This one is 7 minutes long. Starts right here, I believe. We'll hear how to say his name properly before I go butchering it.
Welcome to Jean-Pierre Houdin's Theories.
Jean-Pierre Houdin.
The team wanted to provide players with a sense of exploration and discovery, particularly within the Great Pyramid. As such, a decision was made that the internal design of the monument in the game would reflect Jean-Pierre Houdin's theories. While the antechambers of the king's tomb have yet to be discovered, Houdin posits that this is merely due to a unique design, placing the pharaoh's tomb at the center of the pyramid. The entire tour you are about to take was designed along Houdin's hypotheses.
So more info. There he is in 5th relieving chamber of Khufu. I need a picture here, and this character is not the one I need for it. Here she is. Let's see. Can I just stand there like right here facing out? Can't see her face. Where's she at? Trying to get all the gold and all that stuff in there. You gotta take some pictures in memory of our tours. I post these in the Gamer Society fan club for anyone interested on Xbox. It's a public club for anyone to join, but you have to request, because that's apparently how Xbox works when you have it set to public. I remember coming to here for this slab.
While respecting Houdin's hypothesis as to the general layout of the antechambers, the team wanted the contents to enhance the game experience. In regular royal tombs, the antechambers were filled with all the material goods needed by the pharaoh in the afterlife. To support the feelings of discovery and awe, the art team created a unique and fantastical treasure in this second antechamber.
Click this if you guys actually care to read it again. You can pause, but I'm not going to sit here and leave it up for 10 minutes. Come on, Cleopatra, you gotta be faster than the Roman dude through here. Yo! WTF? Alright. Basically, it forced me down and did not allow me to stop there. Let's see something. Is that the one we were supposed to be listening to? The heck? I reset it and it didn't do anything. We're just sitting here. Bear with me. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to rush through. Like, we don't have to listen to the first few. I'm just going to push through them. Just click them so it says that I did it, and then move to the next one and click it. It should mark them as complete. I blame the game for that. They put the dang thing right on the edge where you slide down, so I didn't really have a choice. We kind of just got tossed down there.
Welcome to Jean-Pierre Houdin's Theories.
Thank you, Jean-Pierre.
The team wanted to provide players with a sense of exploration and discovery, particularly within the Great Pyramid.
Continuing on.
As such, a decision was made that, while respecting Houdin's hypothesis as to the general
Did it mark the last one as complete? It does. Alright, so we don't need to listen to him again.
Enhance the game experience.
I wish you could slide and then get up. Gain a little bit of ground. So here it is. We're very careful. Sorry to speak over them, but we already heard these.
To support the feelings.
Oh, no, jeez.
And awe.
Stop here. Look, it's on the edge.
And fantastical treasure in this sector.
Oh my god.
Houdin theorized that the ascending corridor and the Great Gallery were used by the workers to haul hoist the heavy beams above the king's chamber. He called it the service circuit. The corridor you are in now was created by the team following Houdin's theory and is referred to as the noble circuit. It is through this corridor that the wooden sarcophagus containing the pharaoh's mummy would have been transported to its final resting chamber.
So from an image here you can see it. We've already showed this image prior. I think that line though, that baby blue one, maybe indicates where we're at. Whee! And everybody was pyramid surfing. Hiya!
With this structure in mind, one can easily assume that the pyramid's entrance would have been connected to the two antechambers. Modern research has revealed that a cavity might be located behind the north face chevrons of the pyramid. As such, the team chose to create this area for the player to explore. Here is where Houdin believes that the priests and nobles would have exited the pyramid after the burial ceremony.
So, we already seen this. Not sure why they're showing this again. Alright, now we get to climb up here. Nobody knew the truth, but Cleopatra was an assassina. Assassina would be more appropriate. It is dark in here. Let's do this.
Many theories regarding the construction of the Great Pyramid rely on the usage of external ramps. However, Houdin believes an external ramp would have been too steep for the upper portion of the pyramid. This is why he posits that there were two ramps. an external ramp for about half of the height of the pyramid, which then became an internal ramp for the second half.
Here is a picture. Once again, they changed it from baby blue to red.
Houdet's theory states that this internal ramp followed the sides of the pyramid in an ascending spiral pattern. A notch discovered in the edge of the Great Pyramid, known as Bob's Room, seems to support this theory. Located at the corners of each edge of the pyramid, these large rooms would have allowed workers to turn the stone by 90 degrees, allowing them to continue the ascent. The team chose to create rooms such as this one, bringing Houdet's hypothesis to life.
The early concept of Bob's Room with interior ramp addition.
This long corridor was the first section of the ascending internal ramp. Through it, the blocks used to build the Great Pyramid would have been carefully moved upward and then turned at each edge of the pyramid in order to continue their ascent. Though the team only created the main ramp for the game, Houdet posits that this ramp had 2 levels, allowing workers to return safely to the bottom thanks to an additional corbelled upper section.
Free!
According to Houdet, the start of the inner ramp was located at the base of the southeastern face of the pyramid. This location would have been the junction point of the external and internal ramps. Below us, workers would have built the lower part of the pyramid with the external ramp before eventually switching to the internal ramp for the middle and upper sections of the pyramid. At that time in the process, they could have reused the material of the external ramp to fill the center of the pyramid, hauling the stones in through the internal ramp.
And there you have it. The complete of that tour. Thank you, Cleopatra, for your time. You must select another random. Blind check. Sure, we already used him. I'm just not going to blind check it. We keep getting people I've already used like 10 times. Oh, we have Bayak. Bayak is Persian commander. Perfect. Never used that before. So now we have Khafre's Funerary Complex. Everything should be checked off above here. We still have Alexandria, Daily Life, and Romans to do. Romans is like 15 minutes long, but these two are going to probably be pretty long. But if I can fit this 15 minutes into either one of these streams, I will be doing it. We have 11 more minutes, then I'm going to have to rush, take a break to try and get Dishonored Death of the Outsiders first mission done. I'm probably going to do Dishonored, I guess. Let me see real quick, guys, before I do this. Maybe 4:30 to 6:30. Try to do the next one 7:30 to 9 or something. We can always, make a save and come back to it, worst case scenario. And then I was going to do Outlast 2 at 7 to 9, but I'll move that to 10:15 and do that till like midnight. It wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. I don't know if it's just because I've already played the first Outlast, but the first Outlast felt much more insane. But I'm barely into it, so we'll see. One more achievement left in this entire game. Complete all tours in the daily life category, which has nothing to do with what I'm doing now. I'll probably get that as my last stream, which will close out everything, and I'll do my own tour of the map for anyone interested. Probably some point next week. I have it on my schedule, or on the list for the schedule already. So let's learn.
Khafre's Funerary Complex.
Khafre's Funerary Complex.
Since the very beginning of the 4th Dynasty, Mortuary temples were built adjacent to pyramids on the eastern side. Such a location, facing the rising sun, as well as the world of the living as a whole, held an important symbolic meaning, for it was within the mortuary temple that kings were revived through daily rituals.
Pyramid of Giza by Jean-Claude.
In its standard form, a mortuary temple was divided into two parts: a front area which consisted of a vestibule and a courtyard, and an area in the back where all sacred elements were located. The back of the temple incorporated several essential features, including an inner sanctuary with a false door, which allowed the soul of the pharaoh to travel between the world of the dead and the world of the living.
False door from the tomb of Vegeti, or something like that. Metjetji? I don't know, I'm butchering it. Let's just move on.
The largest of all such structures, Khafre's mortuary temple was entirely built with megalithic blocks of limestone from a nearby quarry and encased with granite. Parts of Khafre's mortuary temple, particularly the courtyard walls, are thought to have been decorated with splendid reliefs. However, not a single image of the king has been discovered inside the mortuary temple.
So, archers, fragments of reliefs. Facing me the wrong way. This way, Bayek, this way.
Khufu's direct successor, Jedefre, followed the custom which required each king to establish a new site for their funerary accommodation, and chose Abu Rawash as his last resting place. When the time came to build his own funerary complex, Khafre, also one of Khufu's sons and the successor to Jedefre, broke with tradition and returned to Giza. Not only did Khafre thumb his nose at tradition, but he did so in a way which he hoped would allow him to overshadow his father's most important monument.
The statue of Pharaoh Khephren.
Though Khafre's pyramid is smaller than Khufu's, it was cunningly built on a more elevated bedrock layer than the Great Pyramid, making it appear higher than any other pyramid at Giza. Today, Khafre's pyramid is the only one among the three at Giza that still has the upper part of its limestone casing.
Here is a picture, 1837. You'll see a drawing.
Considered a most sacred area, the Giza necropolis was strictly defined, both geographically and physically. An 8-meter-thick Tura limestone wall completely surrounded the Great Pyramid. The only way inside would have been through the mortuary temple.
Here is the pyramid.
From the reign of Sneferu and onwards, the subsidiary pyramid became a common feature within the pyramidal complex. The function of the subsidiary pyramid, however, smaller in size and in height than the royal tomb, remains unclear, though some believe that it was meant to house the ka of the pharaoh.
Here is another picture.
In mainstream media, the ka is often defined as the soul of the deceased. The truth is a bit more complicated. Within the ancient Egyptian funerary belief system, the ka was a component of a living person, which separated itself from the body at the time of death. It represented the deceased's vital essence. In order for the deceased to ascend to a new life, whether in this world or the next, the ka had to be embodied in a statue and its existence maintained through offerings and rituals.
There's the Book of the Dead, Papyrus of Nebqued, 18th Dynasty.
Within Khafre's subsidiary pyramid, a wooden box containing pieces of cedar was discovered by archaeologists. When reassembled, it turned out to be a shrine mounted on a sled. Just as with the solar barges found around Khufu's pyramid, it seems Khafre's shrine and sled were ritually disposed of after his funeral.
Here is Papyrus Book of the Dead, details showing the funerary procession with barge. They're in the process of handling their business. Tour completed. This has been a long day of touring, just like yesterday. But we're getting relatively far. I mean, there's 2 entire sections, well 3, but this one I don't really think it's an entire section, considering it's 15 minutes long for the Romans. I'm kind of not sure how long these will be, but I'm guessing the same as these, so they'll take entire streams. Here we have Menkaura's funerary complex, which we'll find out I butchered in, 30 seconds. I broke my rule. We gotta change characters. An Egyptian nobleman.
Welcome to Menkaura's funerary complex.
Menkaura's.
The dimensions of Menkaura's pyramid are much less grandiose. However, unlike its predecessors, Menkaura's pyramid shows a great deal of complexity in its internal and external finish. The outside was partially covered in red granite, while the internal walls were richly decorated. This latter innovation would not catch on until the end of the 5th dynasty, when pyramid texts began to adorn the walls.
So, here it is. It is the chamber in the 3rd pyramid, 1840.
Menkaura's pyramid contains 2 sloping passages, both located in the northern side of the structure. The upper one was abandoned during the construction phase, whereas the lower one, slightly above the base of the monument, constitutes the real entrance. The lower passage leads to a first room, which, for the first time since the reign of Djoser, is decorated with engraved false doors.
Section through the center of the 3rd pyramid. You can see excavation made by Colhow. Does say VVSE? I'm not really sure. You can see there's the entrance passage. There's the upper passage. The large apartment. That's where I'm moving. Just live in a pyramid. Well, you probably have some trouble getting good oxygen down there. I don't know.
While Menkaura's pyramid complex was unfinished at the time of his death, it was hastily and somewhat shabbily completed by his successor, Shepseskaf. Even so, this funerary structure marks a watershed in the history of this kind of monument. From then onwards, the pyramid shrank, whereas the mortuary temple expanded both in its quantitative and qualitative aspects. Of particular note, it is within Menkaura's mortuary temple that one can find the heaviest block of limestone ever used for a pyramid complex, weighing in at over 200 tons.
So how the hell did you move that at 200 tons? Seriously? Here's the seated statue of King Menkaure. And like, just so you guys understand, 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. So, do the math. That is quite a heavy stone. Forget exactly, let me see, it tells us here how much. 200 tons. That's literally 400,000 pounds. How the hell did you move that? I'm pretty sure we'd have trouble moving that in modern day, let alone back then. This is where all these people come up with these alien conspiracies and stuff.
Menkaura's causeway was completed in mud brick by the king's successor, whereas the lower part was nothing more than a simple ramp. As for the Valley Temple, it was built in 2 phases. The foundations were first laid out in limestone during Menkaura's reign, but the temple itself was completed in mud brick afterwards. As such, the Valley Temple was soon damaged and ended up being completely rebuilt during the 6th dynasty.
Pyramid of Giza by Jean-Claude. Continuing on. At least you have somewhat of a softer landing since it's sand and not concrete.
3 small structures, referred to as Menkaura's Queen's Pyramids, were erected along the southern side of the main pyramid. One of them was a smooth-faced pyramid, while the other 2 were more basic step pyramids. It is difficult to assess whether the latter were designed as such or were left unfinished with no casing to smooth out their surfaces.
View of the pyramids south of the 3rd pyramid, 1840. Smooth one definitely looks a lot better. But that takes me back. We learned today about the pyramids were shaped like this on the left with these steps going on, and then they transitioned to a, it was called slanted, where at 2 different angles, and then they decided to finally make it one angle flush to the top. The flush one on the right with the triangles looks so much better, hands down. Tough, you would have never known, because Egypt's known for the pyramids that look like this. Guarantee most people have no idea that pyramids also existed in the shape that I'm looking at right now, and much larger.
The easternmost pyramid was built with the traditional rooms and corridors found within a satellite pyramid meant to house the king's ka. However, a granite sarcophagus was found within, leading to the conclusion that it was used as an actual tomb rather than as a symbolic cenotaph. Drawing on these observations, some assume that this pyramid was first built as a satellite pyramid for the king's ka, before seeing its purpose change to that of a queen's tomb. Which queen, however, remains a mystery.
Entrance to the 4th and 5th pyramid, Queens, 1840. Such tiny entrances. And tour completed, Menkaure's funerary complex. So tour-wise, that completes our tour of the pyramids. So once again, we went over all of the Egypt yesterday. Just confirming that they're all checked off properly. Not like it matters, but just for our sake and knowing we completed it all. Pyramids are complete. Tomorrow is Alexandria around 4 p.m. Eastern. How long is this? 5, 14, oh my god, 20 minutes, 34, 39, 45, 50, 53, 55, an hour and 2, an hour and 6, an hour and 10, an hour and 17, an hour and 19. It's only an hour and 21, so I'm guessing we'll do Alexandria and Romans combined, and then on Thursday for my final stream, you know, we have all of these. I'm actually thinking, I delayed my stream today so much on getting started that it would be better off if I do a shorter stream. I'm debating, do I just plow into this today? Because I feel like I need a full 2 hours to do Dishonored. And if I don't want to have to ruin tonight, and I want to do 7 to 9. And the other time, I could possibly bring this to today. I just want to play other games too, like break my schedule this week, just because everything going on. But I gotta keep some structure here. How long's daily life? 4, hold on, 4, 13, 19, 23, 31, 39, 39 plus 5 is 44, 49, 55, 61, 64, 66, 70, 76, 85, 88, 92, 98, 101, 104. It's literally like an hour and 45 minutes in itself, so daily life is going to need its own stream. But as for Alexandria and Romans, those combined will take like an hour and a half. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to end the stream now. You may catch me back on doing the tour and notice the schedule will be changed to reflect me moving Dishonored around to tomorrow into Assassin's Creed spot. So it would be Assassin's Creed, Dishonored, Outlast today. Tomorrow it would be Assassin's Creed, Dishonored. Oh no, Dishonored, Outlast. What am I saying? That's that. Thanks for watching, guys. Would appreciate if you like and sub. Shout out to Carter 2K16. Welcome to the stream. And sorry, I really don't play Fortnite very often. I play it once every 2 weeks, basically. It's I'm not an enormous fan of Fortnite. I'm more of a PUBG fan, to be personally honest. The next Fortnite stream will be in 2 weeks from, yeah, was it 2 days ago, Sunday. I held it on Sunday. I'm probably going to keep to that schedule for Fortnite and PUBG once every other week. Just to focus on some other main games. Thanks for watching, guys. Would appreciate if you like and sub. Peace out.